Hello, my name is Miles McNamara from Smiles Plugins, and in this video I'm going to be going over my new search and filtering plugin, which I'm very happy to say is going to be released soon, and I wanted to run quickly through the features and settings to give you an idea of how everything works. So as you notice right here, once you install the plugin, you will have a new menu item below job listings or resumes, which is search and filtering. The custom search and filtering is organized by what are called sections. So each one of these is a section. So if you're looking at the main home page, you'll notice here that we have separate sections. This is a section, this is a section, this is a section. Each one of those are our sections we have right here. Each one can be output using the auto output or using a shortcode or widget. In this one it is actually a widget, which we will recreate in this video, but for now as you can see, only two of them are automatically output, which are the ones you see right here. The UI has a full drag and drop UI interface to where you can change, move things around, customize them however you want, which gives you great flexibility in doing whatever you want to do in your actual setup to clean things up, move them around, organize where they are, and edit everything and actually view it in real time as everything actually happens. So as you notice there, I actually changed it from a two section fields to having them split together on the same field. And you'll notice over here we have this one, which is the region, which is actually a widget, which you'll notice right here where you can select from the different widgets, and it'll actually output here. So you're not constrained to just this area. So whenever you're on the jobs or resumes pages, you will have this drop down you'll notice here, which actually has a way to disable editing mode, go to the list table, or disable custom search and filtering. The disable custom search and filtering is the same as this button over here. If I were to disable this right here like this, or if I were to have done it from this one and click disable, then what that does is it'll reset it back so that it uses the default setup. So you'll notice none of our custom search and filtering is output. So I'm going to go ahead and re-enable that just to bring it back on here. Now each section has its own configuration, which is identified by this field right here. So you can click here to save, you can click this to leave editing mode, which you can then see you'll have a button above each one, which only administrators will ever see this. Front-end users will never have the ability to be in editing mode. This one is to edit the section, which you'll notice will open this sidebar where you have configuration. You have spacing where you can set custom margins, custom paddings. When you set it in here, it'll be applied to top, left, bottom, and right. If you use the advanced, it'll actually set it to the you'll allow you to set left, right, and each one of those custom. I'm not going to change any of those because we don't want to change those for now. You'll also have an area for the section where you can add custom CSS. So for that section, if say I wanted to change the background color to red, I could do that, and you'll notice it updates in real time, and you just basically put the CSS selector here, or the what you want to change right here, and then the value, and you can add as many as you want to set it up however you want. You can also add your own custom CSS here as well in this editor. I'm not going to add any custom CSS there, just to show you what it's about. So you can also click save here. That saves the sections, and then each field you'll see on here. So that was edit section. If we wanted to add another field, you can click on this button to add another field here, or you can right click inside of there and click insert field. There's multiple ways to get to it. I'm going to go ahead and remove this one for now on here. So you have the configuration for each field. If you notice in top left corner, when you hover over the top left corner, you can either edit or delete the field. You can also obviously right click on it to do it, but either one works the same. You'll notice here now for each field type you can select the different type of fields. We have all kinds of field types, and more will be added soon. But you have standard text, checkbox, checklist, radio buttons, multi-select, specific HTML content, action hook, a spacer, a bunch of different things. And so you'll notice here there's also another tab next to the field, which is the search. The search is where you define what the search source is for that field. So for right now you can see we're using one of the defaults, but you also have the option to use any taxonomies that are set up under your fields, or any of the listing meta fields themselves. Completely up to you. It's always best to use the defaults if that is what you want to search first, and then any other fields you set up, you can select other ones. When you select, you can select the trigger, how search is automatically handled, whether it's manual or automatic. So right now it's set to manual, which requires the user to press this search jobs button. If you want it to automatically search, you can change that to automatic, and then you can configure even more options, as right here I have it set to characters. So it will not automatically start searching until after the user has entered in 4 characters. You can also set seconds or milliseconds, which is basically a delay after they enter in the keys. The debounce is the amount of time after they hit the last key or they make the last selection before it will trigger that update. So in this instance, the debounce is set at 500. So after they enter 4 characters, it will wait half a second or 500 milliseconds before it triggers that update. This just makes it so that your server does not get pegged trying to make constant updates to them. You'll notice we also have the spacing here as well for each fields, just like the sections. And you'll notice here I have 5px set here. You could set it to something crazy, 25px, and you'll notice it updates in real time, so you can physically see what is going on here. You also have the styles as well. Input CSS, where you can add custom CSS specifically for the input, specifically for the label, or specifically for the wrapper, which is what surrounds the input, which is an HTML element there as well. Now, as you'll notice here, we also have a multi-select, or a single select here, which is single select drop-down. You notice the search is still set at manual, set to categories. You also notice we have a separate tab here, which is the data source. By default, it will use the field values from the data source. So if I select here, you'll notice design development. That is because those are the default values set up for that taxonomy. If I instead wanted to use my own custom values, I can change this here, and then I can add a custom value here, whatever you want to use. I'm going to keep this at the field values because that's what we want to use. Like I said, spacing, all that stuff, it's all kind of the same. So what I'm going to go ahead and do is I'm going to change this, and I'll go ahead and run through how to create this one right here, this region one, which you'll see we have set to automatically update. So let's go ahead and just stop that. And let's go over here to the search and filtering list table. On the search and filtering list table, you will notice that we have all of these. We also have add new, settings, and import. So let's just go ahead and show you some of the options under here. So for the sidebar widget, I'm going to go ahead and remove this, but you'll notice we also have multiple other options. You can clone it. So if you wanted to clone that and then edit it to have you not have to set all the fields up again. If you wanted to disable it so it just does not show, that's possible as well. You can also export it as a JSON file, which you can then use this right here to re-import it, which allows you to back things up, do stuff like that, completely up to you. So for this one, I'm going to go ahead and delete this field. And that one was removed. And let's go ahead and refresh the page. And the only reason I did that was just to make sure that that was updated. So we'll go ahead and go in here to the settings. Now under the settings, you'll notice we have, right now, is just 3 different settings. If you click on the question mark, it'll show you details about it. This enabled one is exactly the same as this one right here. It's just a quick shortcut to enable or disable them. The search all, this one is specific for jobs because by default the keywords field does not search all meta keys. When this is enabled, it will set that to it. Editing enabled, basically that sets the editing mode enabled for administrators when they are viewing the front end. So right here we're out of editing mode. That is the mode it'll start up in if you have that setting disabled. So now that we've got that in there, you can see these are the basic settings of everything, basically how it works. With the widgets, you can also use shortcodes to output things wherever you want. It's completely up to you. And some of the other videos, I will go through some of the more advanced settings, go through the details of them. This is really just a quick overview of how everything works. So let's go ahead and add us a new section. We'll set this as a sidebar widget. And then you will select the output, whether you want it to automatically output or you want it to one of these sections or you want to use a shortcut or widget. I'm going to leave that as do not because we're not going to automatically output it. And then we'll click done, and now you'll notice we have this new sidebar widget in here. Now we refresh this page you'll notice that nothing's output here yet. That's because we haven't set the widget there yet. So what we need to do is we need to actually refresh our widgets page and then make sure that we have this selected. This will actually show. I'll go ahead and delete this just for sake of seeing it. So you'll notice here we have job search and filtering. So it'll be job listing. It'll either be job or listing search and filtering, or if you're using resumes, it'll be resumes search and filtering. So let's go ahead and add that to the sidebar, and we want it to output our sidebar widget. And then we're done. Let's move that up here, and let's go ahead and refresh this page. And now you'll see we have this section over here where we can add in any new fields we want, either using this button or just clicking in the center here. So I'm going to click here, and then I'm going to go ahead here to edit it. I'm going to change this to we'll do a multi-select, and then we'll set this as regions. Select a region, which will be the placeholder, or be what it shows here, like choose a category. And then under search, I'm going to select a search source. So for this one, I'm going to use the region, and then we'll leave this as automatic, and then we'll make sure to use field values, and then let's go ahead and save that. And now we'll pull this over here, and let's kind of adjust this. Let's go ahead and change the spacing too. Give it a little bit better spacing so it looks nicer. We'll go ahead and save that. And then you'll notice we have all of our job regions are showing up here. The placeholder is not showing, and that's just kind of a minor bug that I'm working through right now with the Select 2. That's basically because we're using the Select 2 framework for displaying these multi-selects. So let's go ahead and save these, just make sure it's saved for good sake. If you have any issues with the Select 2 boxes, which would be any of the single select drop-downs or a multi-select drop-down, just save the section and then just refresh the page. That should resolve it. In an update, I will make sure that that's fixed, but for right now, that's just a minor detail that needs to be addressed. So you'll notice here, and we have this set to automatic, so once I disable editing mode, you'll notice we now have select a region here, and this one's set to automatic, so if I select that, it automatically updates the listings themselves. Whereas on here, if we wanted it to update, we would need to actually select or hit the search jobs button. So Airbnb, search jobs, it updates. But if we remove it or change it, it doesn't change anything because these are set to manual, whereas this one was set to automatic. So that's a quick rundown of the fields and stuff. As I mentioned, I will go a little bit more into detail on all the settings, the features, and go into specifics in other videos. But for now, this was just a quick overview of how everything works. I hope you guys enjoyed it, and I will see you in some of the next videos.